Don't see anything bad. Oh, see,
All right.
now I'm scared.
Now, Mr. Jim Gilchrist, and he will tell you his story.
Okay, so hello everybody, and Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to the people who are online who just joined us. Also, we've got Rebecca is there, and I see Joanne and Dan, who Dan was one of the people who took advantage of the volunteer list, and we had a beautiful meeting. Catherine's online. I got Connor. I got Tatiana. I've got Al, JD, Brett, Lori, and Kirk, Scott, and Krista, two of my favorite people in the whole world. And too bad you didn't get a chance to see Jay tonight, but hopefully he's on the mend soon. All right, so when we talk about New Year's, we always talk about New Year's resolutions. I don't know why, but we always do. They always seem to come up, and they always seem to be framed by, is this the year you're going to lose weight? I got an email, right, on December 27th that says, are you serious about losing weight? I'm like, dude, I want to gain some weight. Right? It's like, this is the year that you're going to lose 50 pounds, or you're going to refresh, or you're going to renew, or you're going to start a new goal, or you're promising that you're going to do whatever. And that's great. New skills, new goals, recharge your batteries. Say that you want to do something that is new for you, or something that you want to recommit to. But when we're talking about job searches, or we're talking about changing our career, when I was talking to Jay about starting the new year and thinking about that idea of New Year's resolutions, one of the things that I want to try to get out of your head when it comes to career transition or to finding a new job is to not do the refresh, recharge, right? Don't think about that. Instead, look to what you've already done and who you already are. So did everybody here see that email that Krista sent out telling what tonight was going to be all about? So you read about that? Okay, so some people have and some people haven't. So that I wanted to tell you that what we're going to talk about tonight is the opposite of New Year's resolutions. We're going to look at your history. We're going to talk about who you are, and we're going to talk about how we're going to use that in a presentation when you talk publicly, or when you present yourself to hiring managers, social media platforms, networking events. You're going to be able to reach into who you are and where you've been and what you've done to help you get the next job that's out there, or to change your career path, or whatever the reason is that you're here. Okay? So that's a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. I always have a little caveat at the beginning that sometimes I worry that I come across like I'm one of the Robinses, right? The Mel Robbins. Who's the other guy? Tony Robbins, right? I'm not Newt Rockney. I'm not like win one for the Gipper kind of guy, right? Sometimes it does sound a little like that. And if you feel inspired or you get motivated because of something that I'm saying or the way that I'm saying it, I think that's great. But I'm more of a meat and potatoes. I'm more like Poindexter, right? I'm more of the nerd, the bookish, the research, I know what I'm talking about because I've used it before, line by line, analytics kind of a thing. And I'm going to give you the tools to put in your toolbox that if you use it, I am convinced that it's going to help you do whatever it is that brought you here tonight. Okay? So the caveat is, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not Newt Rockney. I'm more of a Poindexter. So and I'm going to come back around a little bit to that. So what I just did for you was something that I'm going to talk about tonight. So when you reach back later and go, that was that Poindexter guy I was talking, who was telling me, right? You'll remember my name, and I made you feel something. I made you feel humor. You felt like that was funny, or you felt, oh, this guy is awkward, or you felt something that will make it memorable when you look back and you go, he's more Poindexter than he is Newt Rockne. Okay? So my background, Jay usually gives you the little Cliff Notes version, and since he's not here tonight, I'll do that. My background is journalism. I started out in radio in 1983. I was overnight guy, and I did all the really crappy stories, and I covered Ways and Means Committee meetings and stories that nobody else wanted to do. I worked my way all the way up to talk show host in upstate New York, and then I transitioned to television, which a lot of people in radio do. I was a producer, I was an executive producer, I was a news director, I ran my own television station, and I was in Nashville at Channel 4 10 years ago now. I left a long time ago. And when I left the media, I started my own business to help people well, first of all, to help people who wanted to be on television. So some clients were going on Squawk Box, and how do I not sound like a knucklehead when I'm talking to millions of people on CNBC, but also people who wanted to go to trade shows and do presentations. And then when I came here, as I told some of you, I came here, I was sitting in the audience, I wanted to learn, like, what is it that I want to be when I grow up? And then I think it was Hal Hassel who asked me to do a presentation on presentations. So one of the things I'm really big on when it comes to the media is I'm big on storytelling, because what you'll hear from me, what I hope, and one of the things that I try to be about is something that you can't get in a Google search. Or maybe you can, but you're not going to get it quite the same way as me. I don't think you're going to find anybody out there who's selling themselves as Poindexter, telling you how to present yourself to try to get a job. Okay? All right, so New Year's resolution, but not the resolution of new and re. It is the new year, not new you. It's new year and be you. Okay? New year, be you. So, who are you? So just think about that for a second. Now, when I talk to folks, when I go in front of everybody from C-suites, the CEOs at the head of the table, and the CFO, and the CMO, and the COO, and the C whatever O, right? They're all the way down to just the Elks Club, to the career transition group, to any group that I'm getting in front of, church groups or any groups that I get in front of. The one thing that jumps out at me more than anything else is people will hear what I'm talking about, and then they won't do the homework of what I'm talking about. And I also know from personal experience, because I myself have done it. So I want the quick fix, I want the easy thing, or I can take a shortcut. Oh, yeah. Or I'm telling you something that you may think is squishy, or this is more of an extrovert thing and I'm more of an introvert. I'm not really into this emotion stuff, or whatever your rationale or reasoning for not doing it. A lot of people will not do a thing. And so as I start off and I say, who are you? That's the first example where people are like, dude, my name is Lori. What do you want? I was in tech. I don't want to be in tech anymore. What else is there? And then people will say, okay, well, I know who I am, and that's it. What I want to do is stop and say, that's not a rhetorical question. Who are you? That is, and a rhetorical question is a question that you ask for a fact. Like, can you believe it? I'm not asking about your belief system. I'm sharing a thing with you like, wow, isn't that awesome, right? So when I say, who are you? That's the first takeaway from tonight. When I say, new year, be you, the thing that I want you to remember is to when you say be you, like, who am I? And I want to make sure that you walk away here with at least some insight into who you are. So if I was to ask you, all right, so Lori, since I just picked on you, and I said, who are you? How would you answer that question if I legitimately asked you, well, who are you, Lori? What would be the first thing that you would say to me?
Um,
And anyone can weigh in. Anyone can say, how would I answer that question?
Would it matter who is asking who it is that's asking? You know, we talk about it.
Well, we'll drill down into the hiring manager for sure, but I want to just know, just in general, if you were just to say, if I was just to ask you who you are, and it was just a person who you met, how would you answer that question? But yes, then where Scott's going with that is, how do I then drill down into, let's say I'm a hiring manager or a recruiter, or I'm in a networking event. It may shape the way you answer that question, but I want to just talk I want to talk general and then go to specific. So who are you, Tatiana? Who are you, Connor?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is mother.
Okay.
I would have otherwise said I'm a wife. I'm born to a divorce.
Okay.
So there's kind of an identity shift there for me that we need to reframe.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the audience. I would say something like I'm a child of the most high God.
Okay. All right. So when I ask people the question of oh yeah, that's right. We'll just leave that sitting there. So when someone wants to talk, it'll be, we'll have it so that everyone else can hear on the Zoom call. Do you see how that sort of like stops you? Well, what if I'm in an elevator? What if, so I used to write screenplay. I wrote a couple of screenplays. And someone said, well, what if you got on an elevator, you were on an elevator and you're going up and it stopped. I'm going to the 8th floor and it stops at the 4th floor. Ding, it stops it. And the doors open and Steven Spielberg gets on. And I go, oh my gosh, Steven Spielberg. Oh my gosh, dude, I wrote this thing. Okay. And he says to me, what's your screenplay about? I wrote a screenplay that's perfect for you to direct. And he goes, what's it about? And I go, well, so, okay. So it's about this. No. All right. So remember when? No. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Let me, and 8th floor. Bing. And there he goes. Right? Mm-hmm. Hiring managers, LinkedIn recruiters, networking events, the career transition group when Jim puts you on the spot. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to know, when I say new year, be you, I want you to know who you is. Who is you? Okay? So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Who are you? By the way, you haven't answered yet? How would you answer that? How would you answer that in a job situation if I was a hiring manager?
Yes.
Okay, let me make it a little easier for you. And if it's not easier, you're actually a perfect guinea pig. So instead of you going, oh, this stinks. No, actually, this is really awesome because it's clicking, right? The light bulb's going off in your head, right? If I was to say, if you're in tech, you want to be out of tech. I asked, like, yeah, you're commiserating, right? You want to be out of tech. So then who are you? Are you a tech person who wants to get out of tech? Are you still a tech person, but you want to just do a better version of that? Who are you? Like, what is it that you're wanting to, does that make it a little easier for you? Yeah, we just hold on to it, yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you. I was a leader of a single parent support group for 5 years.
Okay.
I like doing stuff like that, like helping people.
Okay.
I don't have credentials in doing that, but that's something that I like. I'm not sure if there's a job for that.
Okay. Okay.
Helping people who are in need.
Good answer. That's good. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. There are no bad answers, but there's a way that you can refine and drill down on answers. You can have different answers depending on what, like as Scott was talking about, depending on who's asking the question. I might not say mom to somebody, but I might say divorce to somebody. I might, depending on the circumstance, okay? So, as an introduction to you, as you're being you, and here comes Mel Robbins, right? you're enough. You're enough. So for openers, you are enough. You matter. You have a thing that you're going to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. You've done it thousands and thousands of times and you don't even know it, right? You are enough. But if I'm the hiring manager and I want to get into, Connor, I don't know you, but I respect you, you have dignity, I'm looking for a person to be in my workplace, and I looked at your how am I ending up talking to you to begin with? I need to know what of that you is going to help me in this job. So the second half of once you know who you is, then you have to be able to articulate it in a way that makes it memorable for me to go, remember that guy, Connor? Let's call that guy in. Let's get him in for a job interview. Or what did we think of that Connor guy? He was, what did you like about them? Oh yeah, he was the guy who did the thing, right? So you, and then articulating you, okay? So I want to give you a series of questions. I was telling Scott that you can write them down if you want to, or you can just think about them. I will make them available to you. You can either just come up and just give me your phone number, or just I'll give you my phone number. You can just text, hey, it's Al. Can you send me the questions? And I'll be happy to give them to you. We can put them on the volunteer list if you want. I'm online, Gilchriest Consulting Group. So if you saw me through the email that Krista sent out, there's a lot of ways. I'm out in public. My phone number and my email are always available in a lot of different places. So I can send you the questions. But I want to read you the questions because I want you to understand that this is homework and this is, you're doing research into you, you're reflecting, and you're not just winging it. Okay? So let me list a series of questions to get at the idea of who you is, so that when you start to say, well, okay, well, it's a new year and I'm not going to go do the new thing, like I'm going to do a new diet, or I'm going to do a new fad, or I'm going to promise to like read a book, or I'm going to do a new thing, or read this or read that. No, you're going to go back and you're going to look at your history and who you are and how you're made up. And I'm going to help you to do that with a series of questions. First question, what do you care about? The subset questions, there are always follow-up questions. A subset of that is, what do you care most about? What do you care about? What are 3 or 5 personality traits? How would your friends answer that question? How would your family answer that question? Would it be different if it was a family member versus you? What do you love about yourself? Again, I'm a very, I don't want to say cynical, but I'm not a big squishy guy. So when someone says that, what do I love about myself? Seriously, Kurt? Oh, seriously, dude? Oh, come on, man. Right? I'm that guy. So I understand but I'm asking you for the homework assignment of you trying to delve into you and understand your history. What do you love about yourself? And if you want to talk about what you like least about yourself, or what you'd rather like to change about yourself, knock yourself out. Me, I would say, I don't really love very much about myself. My problem is I say that because I grew up with like a lack of self-worth. And I've talked about that in the previous seminar, where I didn't have a lot of self-worth. And so I'm really bad at bragging about myself. So we had Walter Teak, who said to me, he gave me a book and it's like how to brag. And I go, what is this? He goes, it's a gift. I'm like, you want me to read it? He goes, no, I'm giving it to you. I want you to keep it because you really do suck at it. You are not kidding. And that's what I do, right? So when I say, what do you love most about yourself? That will come in handy when you're in the jobs, when you're talking to the hiring manager, okay? What is a personality trait that you're glad you have? Okay, that's a good question. 3 words that describe me is a good one. 5 words that describe me, 1 word that describes me. What's your origin story? So who have I not picked on? So Brett, so HR, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can answer this question, but if you don't have to if you don't want to, because I probably shouldn't put people on the spot, but I tend to do that, and I try to make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more engaging. But if I was to say, how did you get interested in HR, and why are you doing HR? And a question that is framed, so I'm trying to get at your origin story of being in HR. How would you answer that question?
Because I didn't get into pre-med and med school. So I took another form of psychology, which is called industrial and organizational psychology. And so I'm like, if you ask me what I am a job scientist, similar to an MBA, but evidence-based.
There you go. Good. Okay. So what is your origin story? Why do you do what you do? How did you get involved? Why are you interested in this? Right? It can open you up to all kinds of cool stuff. And when we talk about I'll come back around to this whole idea of articulating what it is that you're about, who you are to somebody. When you want to stick out, when you want to be memorable, you'll want to have a story that goes with it that is like that. Okay?
Sorry to all MBAs.
No, that's good. That's good. So what's your origin story is a good question. Interesting things you've done, interesting things that have happened to you. Those are good. Those will be good anecdotes when it comes to storytelling. That'll get you away from the recitation of things. I did this and I did that, and then I went there. Then after I left that, I went to this company and I blah 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 blah. Right? So, what interesting stuff has happened? What have you done that was fun and interesting or weird, or a project that you liked that you knocked out of the park and it was unusual, or things like that. If you said to somebody, if on the job, if you had this specific task, pick me, I'll do it. I'll kill it. I'll kill it. What's that thing? Okay. Why is it that thing? That's a good question to ask. What do you love about what you do? Okay. What's the best job you've ever had? What's the best project you've ever worked on? You'll see Google questions that talk about, tell me your negatives. That's like, what obstacles have you overcome? That's fine. I'm not really big into the negative stuff, although hiring managers love it because they want to know, they want to see how you'll react to it. Lots of reasons why they would want to know that. Successes that you're proud of professionally, successes that you're proud of personally. What organizations have you been a part of or that you are currently a part of? Facebook pages that what do they call those Facebook pages? I like them, I'm on them. Groups, yeah, Facebook groups. What Facebook groups? Why are you a member of the Nashville Hiking Group, for example? Okay? Answer that question for yourself. You're doing this homework, you're asking these questions for you right now, for nobody else. And then the last question I have here is, how are you making a difference in people's lives? So who are you? Those are the ask questions to learn, the questions you ask yourself to learn a little bit more about you. Concrete tools that if you sat down and you took those questions and you answered them one by one, or even if you didn't write them out, you said, all right, I'm sitting in front of a mirror, I'm going to answer this question. So the next time someone asks that question, you're going to be like, bam, I'm going to knock it out. Some way that you have some general idea. And again, it's not forward-looking a New Year's resolution. It's back here, all of the experiences from the moment I was employed, and how did I get that job? And what did they say about me? Which is my segue into, let me drill down and dig a little deeper into who you are. As a matter of fact, if I only talked about who you are and Scott says you ran out of time, I'd be good with that, because very few people actually do this. Believe it or not, very few people are introspective or reflective of who they are, where they write it down or they talk into voice notes or however you want to do it. So let me drill down a little deeper. And instead of just asking a question that you answer, how about this? How about if I were to say to you, you left a job, right? You were in a job and you left a job. And oh my gosh, Al, you're leaving? Dude, no. Oh, Al, I'm gonna miss you. This place isn't gonna be the same without you. Why? Why is it not gonna be the same? Will you know? When you left have you ever left a job, or have you had the same job since you were 16 years old?
I definitely left the job. But I definitely hear what you're saying too, is because when I was laid off in December, I basically, I know I was missed because people called me.
Yeah, right.
People reached out to me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What happened?" I'm like, and there was genuine concern about what happened, because they saw that I wasn't there and they missed my presence.
Yeah. And so write that down. What of your presence are they missing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So can you articulate that thing? Why? It's like, oh, Al, this place isn't going to be the same. It hasn't been the same since you left. If I was to say, okay, and you told me that, and I would say, why? If you put it in 2 sentences.
I'll tell you, because I definitely made a point to talk to everyone that was around.
All right. So then I'm the hiring manager, and I go, here's a guy who I'm trying to build up my team. I'm trying to make my culture go better. I got some people who are like at each other's throats, or I have the brainstorming sessions are terrible because there's too much judgment. You know what Al's going to do for me? See where that goes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because now that I know that as the hiring manager, and how do you know that's what I'm that's one of the things that I'm looking for. And if there are 2 resumes and they're exactly the equal in terms of their job experience, and now I'm looking for fit, and also you seem like you're kind of a cool guy, right?
Yeah.
And so then I feel something viscerally in that conversation, and then you shared that. But if you didn't share that with me, you're back to here. Okay.
Yep.
So that's so along the lines with asking questions about the questions I just listed. Imagine you leaving your job, and in the news business, we used to call these postmortems. The military calls them after-action reports. Some people don't like postmortems because it implies something died or the project was terrible, right? So you can use a debrief. But because these things have happened to you and they're sitting there and they're available to you, why don't you just go ahead and write them down? Why don't you capture them in some way? Here's another little dig deeper kind of a thing. Imagine your retirement party. Has anybody ever been to a retirement party? Has anybody ever been to somebody leaving a company, not because they were either laid off or terminated or the company went under, but it was somebody who was like going to get a promotion to some other place. And there's a big celebration. We're all going to go out. We're going to have a good time because Kurt's leaving, and we're all going to go, yay, right? Yeah. So it's some version of, we rented out the ballroom, and there's the chocolate fountain, and some people have shrimp, and depending on how big a deal you are, they invite the mayor or whatever. And somebody gets up and talks about you, and they go, and here's a little video of Kurt, and as he's right. There's a little video that plays, and then people are like, I remember the time, back when you see it, right? Describe that for me. Describe that video. Describe what you were, where you were, what you did, what you look like, the evolution, the development. Okay? So that's another little thing where you can get at some of the things that you valued, some of the things you cared about. Oh, I remember when we did that thing. Oh, that's in front of the thing where we did the thing that time. Oh, that was because I really loved the thing, right? You get it. Okay? Another trick that I like to use that almost nobody takes advantage of when it comes to using their past, using their history of figuring out who they are. Does anybody keep their performance reviews? You all get a copy. You get a copy and you have to sign, they have to sign it, you have to sign it, and then you have to do it again, you have to sign it, and then there are 2 copies. There's 4 signatures and you have 2 copies, one that goes in your HR file and one that goes home with you. Okay? And if that's not the case, then you were not working at a great company. But most people have a performance appraisal hard copy that's signed by themselves and their manager that actually the performance review was actually done. It also has, on the last page, it has your 3 to 5 goals for the upcoming year, or the upcoming period, right? Who hasn't had a performance review? Performance reviews where your boss says, I think that JD is the most amazing guy because he did the thing that time. You know what I think you're really good at is, and then you write it down. Oh, I got 4 stars. I got 5. Oh, I got 5. I was exceeds. Oh, I was meets. Oh, but I was exceeds, right? Go back to your old performance reviews. That reveals who you is. Okay? Questions? You're with me? On all the answers, you'll never run out of questions. You'll never run out of prompts that will get you to figuring out who you are. I have not met the person yet who won't think of, oh, something else I thought of. You won't exhaust that list of answers. And once you have them and you can think about them, now you have 80% of the battle won. Because when people talk about, well, I'm really bad under pressure, or I'm not really good with, I freeze up, or I didn't know how to answer that question, or, I'm driving in my car, I go, why didn't I say that? Oh, now I have the answer. I'm thinking of it later on. It's because you weren't prepared with all of those answers, the reflection, the introspection. That's where the freezing up comes from. It's not that you're a knucklehead. It's that you were not prepared. I wasn't prepared for that question. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready. You threw me. That's what normally happens in those kinds of situations. So as you're talking about maybe changing careers, or if you're just trying to promote yourself to look for a job, or I had somebody here who was talking about they were getting job interviews and they were not getting callbacks. And they were like, what have I done? And then I had a conversation with them about storytelling, which I'm going to get, was the next facet of this presentation. Once they got into the storytelling point, they got the callback and then they got the job. And he is now currently working in Knoxville based on that, just a very simple storytelling technique. But it's like, I keep getting interviews, but then I don't get a callback. Okay? So I'm going to help you with that. Conveying who you are publicly. Okay? So, and let me stop and make sure I'm seeing Dan and Joanne and who else is in the room? Anybody online? Rebecca, Catherine, Krista. Anybody? Have I thrown anybody? People in the room? Are you still with me? You're with everything that I'm talking about? Do you have any questions? Anybody concerned about anything? Do you want me to dive deeper into any one element that I'm talking about? I'd be happy to answer any.
The biggest things personal in your professional?
It depends. It depends. Yeah, depends on who it is, who's your audience, and it depends on what your motivate. What are you wanting to? Am I on the elevator with Steven Spielberg, or am I just networking with a coffee at some Thursday luncheon? I think that they're both critically important, because professional is your aptitude for the job. The personal, in my opinion, as a hiring manager myself, is about fit. So I want to know a little bit about, are you a real person, or are you, right? And are you going to fit into this culture that I'm looking for, or are you going to help me change this culture that I'm trying to change? So I think the short answer is it depends, and I think the longer answer is I think both, and for a number of different reasons why both. But I'll also say that don't shortchange the personal thinking that it's not important, because I think personal is important when it comes to cultural fit.
I found so many interviews lately, they don't really want to know who you are.
Really?
I don't know. I mean,
Well, yeah, they do.
That's the way people at home.
Oh, the people on Zoom can hear
but
you.
it's the question. I mean, to me, it's like they don't. It's like every interview is a Zoom interview, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How am I going to know you if I haven't shared bread or drink a cup of coffee across the table
Right,
and really shared life?
right.
To me, it's very impersonal.
Sure.
Business.
I would answer that. My response to that, or my knee-jerk reaction to that, would be two ways. One, I would, if it's me and I had that same experience, I would question why I would want to work for that company if I got that vibe.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, if I thought that my personal was important to me to convey it to you, because I do want to be memorable and I want to stand out in your head. I want you to feel something that you'll remember long after I'm gone. I'm going to give you the personal whether you want it or not, even if I am on Zoom. And then I'm going to think of some strategies to actually do that. I might tease something like, in beer league hockey. I was still talking to a guy in the locker room of beer league hockey. Oh, it was just crazy. The time that I screwed up Seinfeld. I told you about the time when I screwed up the Seinfeld episode. I'm not a Seinfeld fan myself, and you'd be like, "What are you talking about?" But then the guy's like, "What was the deal with Seinfeld?" I will inject my personal because it's so important to me, or as I said, I'll bail on that company if I feel like I'm just a machine. I'm just a robot. I'm a cog. They don't really care about me personally. I think it's a combination of both. That's how I'd answer it. Any other questions? Comments?
Just looking at it and thinking of it from your background in television and radio, stuff like that, it's all about presenting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about, if you're coming to a company, your ultimate goal is to get them to give you money for a service that you're going to give to them. And you obviously don't have a relationship, or you would already be employed by them. So what you've probably done before you get to the interview is research the company.
Right.
You may have found out who you're going to be interviewing with. You've researched them and know a little bit about them and their background because of what's available online. So you're also armed with that. And as you go into this, what you're doing is, I was kind of thinking of the idea of a debutante ball. It's the whole idea of presenting yourself to society. What this is doing is presenting yourself to the job market, to the people,
Sure.
the companies you want to interview with. And you're doing your best to portray who you are, just like on television. And I'm sure we could have, if you thought long and hard enough about it on television, you've probably seen an interview of somebody that was a deer in the headlights that looked awful. Is because that was a one-way kind of situation where they needed to be able to portray themselves and they didn't,
Right.
or weren't able to do that.
Yeah.
And so this is all about preparation and thought and
Right.
getting yourself ready for those interactions with people that are going to get you to that second interview and maybe third interview and that job offer.
Yeah. That's well said. And as a transition into this next section, it's what is the point of presenting yourself well? So you're like, this is all about presenting yourself. Why? What's the point? What am I trying to do? And your answer is, well, I'm trying to get a job. How? How are you trying to get a job by presenting yourself? Okay, so that gets me back to the first question. What's the point of the presentation? What am I trying to do that is going to get me hired? So if the answer is, well, my point, the goal of this presentation is to get hired, then I'll go back to how. We can go around and around on it. But here's the transition. We're going to talk a little bit about storytelling. Now that you're armed with that knowledge, introspection, reflection of your past history, right? You see how we're still not to New Year's, right? We're still talking about all these things in your past. How are you now going to convey them publicly in an effective way? And the way I've preached, I've been here half a dozen times, and what I know works and what I look for when I'm hiring somebody, I'm a huge believer in story, because story is the opposite of AI, is the opposite of Google searches, is the opposite of a number, right? They don't really care about who I am personally. I'm looking for the opposite of that. AI is the median of all the information that has been fed into the system. Am I right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. I mean, hopefully people realize it's powerful, it's great, but it's only going to give you the dollar cost average of the information that was put into the system. Well, that isn't me. What if I'm an outlier, right? So it's better than AI. It's better than a Google search, because what the Google search is, you do know if you all put in the same prompt that the top 10 thing, or no one's ever going to go to the second page, right? You all understand that. You'll look at the search on the first page only. Well, you know that you see that too. And you see that, and he sees that, Joanne sees that, Dan sees that, Scott sees, you all see the same stuff. How is that, if you go, oh my gosh, you know what it tells me to do? I should do the thing. How is that going to set you apart and make you different? What's going to make you unique? What's going to make you stand out? Well, how am I, if I'm doing interviews all day and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I hear one more person say that I hate tech and I can't wait to get out of it, I'm just going to like stick a hot poker into my eyeball. Who was that lady that said, who was it? What was her name? It was Lori. Oh, yeah, Lori. But then there was the Kirk guy. Didn't he say like the same thing? You don't want that. You don't want to like be like Joe Schmo. You don't want to be Jane every person. You want to stand out. And the way you stand out is with the way you're articulating who you are. Okay? The person who matters, the person who contributes, that nobody else can do because it's coming from your perspective. That's why the interesting things that have happened to you, that Seinfeld thing wasn't a joke. If you want to hear the Seinfeld story, I'm telling you, there's no other producer in America who screwed up the way I did. See the tease? See? You're like, oh, but you didn't want to know the personal stuff. So never mind. Back to what the job. What you want to know? Oh, I'm really good at, I have a degree in this. Okay? Storytelling. Let's talk about that quickly before we wrap up. Really, my point of this presentation was really just so that you would feel good about yourself and who you are, and you don't have to be new. Go back and read Krista's email. She said it way better than I ever could, which she always does. She always markets me better than I could myself. I should probably just hire her. You are enough, and you're awesome. Not in a Tony Robbins kind of way. You just are. You really are. And if you're saying, I'm really struggling to get ahead or change careers or get the job that I want, it's not because that you're deficient as a person, okay? And so what I'm saying is you are really good. What I want to then arm you with is the ability to like express that, articulate that to somebody who is in authority to like make a decision about you, about your future job prospects or whatever. So the Cliff Notes version of story. That's a whole separate seminar. I think that there's probably versions of it that are still sitting online.
I think yours is fine.
Okay. Okay, so I did it. I've done this seminar before, but I give you the Cliff Notes version of storytelling. And storytelling is telling something about yourself that's not a recitation of facts. It's the opposite of a pie chart. It's the opposite of data. It's taking, let me give an example of a thing you value. I asked you, what do you care about? It's a thing you value. In my line of work, I cared about integrity in my job. I cared about accuracy. I cared about, let me not say something hypothetical. When I was in the news business, I was the 11th of 12 children. I was the kid who was seen and not heard. It was drilled into me. I could die and it would be next Thursday before anybody, hey, has anybody seen Jen? Yeah, he died like 2 weeks ago, right? I was that guy. I was invisible. I had no voice. Nobody cared what I had to say. No one cared if I showed up. If I said I was going to be at the party and then I no-showed, nobody noticed. When I got into the news business and I started telling stories, I cared about your stories because you do have a voice and you should be seen and you do matter. So if I could articulate, see what I just did? I just told you a story on the 11 to 12, right? Divorce, mother, whatever you want to do, however you want to say it. 11 to 12 kids. You see how I just told you a story? I made you feel something and it stuck with you. And then I delivered on the value that's attached to the anecdote. So here are the steps for that tool. Take a thing that is on your list of answers. Any one of them, pick any one of them. But I'm going to give you an example of what is it that you care about. Now, find an anecdote from your past work life that if I was a fly in the wall in your workplace, I could see you doing that value. And can you share that anecdote? So now I'm on the elevator with Steven Spielberg, and I go, I have this story idea that I know that you're going to love, because I know that you really love the everyman or the little man who is looking for some reconciliation. And I got this main character who's in this setting where he screwed up royally, right? I'm going to be able to deliver on that story more succinctly. So I have the anecdote that is attached to the value. I'm going to tell the anecdote, and then I'm going to attach it to the value in an overt way. And so, Mr. Hiring Manager, the reason why I'm telling you that story, without actually saying that out loud, right? The reason why I bring up the Seinfeld thing is because so anyway, that's just an example of, right? So a couple of things happen there. One, it's unique to me. No one else is going to have that value quite the way I'm doing it. And two, it's going to stick in the hiring manager's mind. Why? Because I delivered something emotionally. I made that person feel something. If you don't, I think the last time I was here, my example was, here's a story. Once upon a time, there was me. I had, Jay asked me to come and deliver a presentation, and please be here by 6:30. And I got in my car. I live in Franklin. I drove down Franklin Road and I pulled in the parking lot and I got out and I came in and I introduced myself to all the people and I delivered the presentation. It was very lovely. Everyone said, thank you very much. That was really wonderful. He said I was very engaging and I went home. Goodbye. The end. Okay. Does that work? Feel anything? No. Are you going to remember it? No, you are not. Why? What's it missing? It's missing conflict, right? It's missing some kind of an emotional element, right? Nothing happened. Just routine, no big deal, which is how people, it's just the close cousin of reciting your job history. I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this. It's a pie chart. It's all it is. So storytelling is, once upon a time, there was me. I got stuck in a tree. Seinfeld. Our content management system crashed 5 minutes before the newscast. My boss, we had a budget shortfall. We lost half of our staff because of the thing. COVID. Okay, I got stuck in a tree. I have a problem. I've identified my problem. Okay, so here's me. I get stuck in a tree, throw rocks at, I think I used the cat. A cat is stuck in a tree. You throw rocks at it, you get them down. That's the structure of your story, of the anecdote you're telling the hiring manager, essentially. Okay, there was me. There was a problem at work. I solved, and it was bad. It was bad. Oh, it was terrible. And then people got the flu, and then they didn't come to work. It was terrible because everyone was like shaking everybody's hands. It was awful. And oh my gosh, it was like the worst month ever. But I came into work. Okay, you throw rocks, and then we had all these major problems, and I had to overcome this, and I had to overcome that, and I didn't know what to. And then I solved the problem, and and I came down, right? So, Mr. Hiring Manager, that's really important to me because list the thing that is the value. Okay, that's the basic structure for an hour. I could go on for days about it, but for an hour-long seminar giving you the Cliff Notes version, that's it. You've got a value or a thing that you care about or a strength that you possess, a skill that no one else has, an experience that you have that no one else has, something that happened to you, a project that you liked. Run down your list of all your answers. What's so meaningful to you? Why is it so important that you have integrity, Connor? Why? Right? Whatever that thing is, then find an anecdote that illustrates that thing. And the anecdote has a character, which is you, conflict, and a resolution that is going to create an emotional response in the audience. And they are going to remember, and if it's done well, it doesn't even have to be a good value. It doesn't even have to be a compelling conflict. It can just be a run-of-the-mill conflict, but it's going to set you apart from the guy who's reading his resume. Okay? And you see now, as I recycle back to the beginning of this presentation, how you can't do that if you don't know who you are. You can't do that if you can't answer the question. Who are you? So what's your deal? What are you all about? So go run me through your resume. I have a resume here, but I want to hear you just give me like the last 5 things. You've all done them, right? You've all been in the job interviews, right? You're not going to answer that question the way they're wanting you to answer that question. What you're going to say is, okay, well, you've seen my resume. So the one thing I'm going to tell you that was going to pop out is that of all the things that I've done, the one theme is I'm a change agent. I'm a turnaround specialist. If you want me to come in and babysit, you know what? This job interview can be over like right now. I'm going to just cut to the chase. You don't want me if you just want status quo. I'm not a status quo guy. If you look at see where I'm going? And then I'll tell the anecdote that goes with the fact that I'm a change agent, storytelling. And I guarantee you, nobody else in the job of the top 7 people who are doing the interview are going to say that. I'm going to stand out, which is why I keep getting jobs. It works. I know that it works. All right. Finally, because I know we're wrapping up, I want to tell you about Bob the accountant. He sat in one of these chairs. It was over in the church. This was one of the first ones I did. And I said, who's got questions? And Bob goes, I got a question. He says, I have no stories. I'm just an accountant. So I want to make sure that I don't leave you, because a lot of people will walk out of here, the cynical people among you, or the people who they just have blinders on, or you just need some Tony Robbins motivation here to say you are somebody, because people will say, I don't really have any stories. There's nothing really unique about me. Actually, I really don't stand out. I'm really just a cog. I just am a guy. Bob, the accountant, was like, I have no stories. I'm just a guy. I'm like, really? I think you were there. And I said, Bob, tell me a little bit about, and it took 5 minutes. This research that I'm asking you to write down took me 5 minutes. So it's going to take him 5 minutes. It's just that he needed a paradigm shift. He was seeing the world differently, too narrowly. And I'm telling you, everybody has a story. Everybody is unique. Everybody matters. Everybody has something meaningful they contribute. And everybody has countless anecdotes. You just don't know it yet because you haven't made that connection. So Bob says, I'm just the guy who says 2 + 2 is 4, man. I'm like, oh, so you're good at Excel spreadsheets. I'm an English major, dude. I think 2 + 2 doesn't have to always equal 4 because maybe one of the twos isn't feeling whole today. But you, oh, I love you because when I'm like, am I over budget? You're gonna be. Bob says I'm over budget. Am I gonna go double check your work? I am not, because Bob is there. Bob, have you ever screwed up? Nope. Bob, do you come into work every day? Yep. Bob gets that Excel spreadsheet and he never has those flashing cells or whatever the color change. Never. Do you? No, no, no. So there's chaos going on all around you, right? Do your bosses, is everything great with your bosses? Well, no. Does your workplace suck sometimes? Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, it's brutal. We come in, we're like, what's going on? What's going on? Does anybody go, Bob? No, my boss is not going to do that. That's what he said to me. No, my boss isn't going to do that. He's actually, he'll just walk right past my office. He'll just let me sit in there. That's the story. Tell me the anecdote. Give me an example. And then he told me this. I can't remember what the story was, but he's like, oh yeah, there was one time when everyone's hair was on fire and there's Bob. And you can picture Bob and you're all laughing because it's hilarious. I'm like, Bob, tell that story. And you say, well, tell me a little, run me through your resume. What's your deal? And you go, is your workplace really, is it running on all cylinders and everything is great? And the hiring manager goes, no. Yeah. So I'm the guy who is going to, you're not going to have to worry about me. I'm the guy who's going to put out the fire in your hair. I'm that guy. And he's over there going, oh, right? But 5 minutes ago, you just told me you didn't have a story. You do have a story. Okay? I'm going to finish with where I began with this idea of New Year's resolutions. Everybody says new. Everybody says start off the year with new goals, forward-looking thing. I'm going to recommit. I'm going to tell you that New Year's resolutions actually way back. I have a nephew who I was holding his hand. We were walking through my neighborhood and he goes, Uncle Jim, back in the 50s, there were dinosaurs around here. I'm going to go way back, right? Babylonia, right? 4,000 years, Rome. Resolutions, they did have New Year's resolutions. And if you looked at them, they were all about the crops and feeding the people and doing well for the community. Right? In the 1940s, there was a blurb I saw that said, what was the #1 New Year's resolution? I want to be more understanding. I want to fix my anger management problem. Why? Well, not for yourself, right? You want to do it for the people. You want to understand. Kurt, if I could understand you better, wouldn't that make us better? That's the way New Year's resolutions work. Now, today, last year, the #1 resolution had something to do with diet or exercise. Me. Inward, just self-improvement. If you do these curls, you'll be unrecognizable, right? That's what they teach you. You'll be unrecognizable. And what I'm suggesting that you do by applying what I just talked about in this presentation, that you are enough, you matter, and it'll make you feel good that when you get that new tech job, I'm sorry, not tech job, when you get that new job, you're going to change the world. You're going to improve your community. That would be a New Year's resolution. Go back to the Babylonian days and say, because I'm here And because I want to work in this place so bad, or I want this job so bad, so badly, that because I know it's going to help all of us and it's going to improve the product and it's going to improve the culture and it's going to make us all feel better about ourselves, that would be worth it. That's all I got. Anything else? Questions? Hello, Peanut Gallery behind me. Rebecca, Catherine, Joanne, Dan,
It was great.
Krista.
Is that it? All right.
Thanks,
Jeff.
Jim.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much.
Very much.
I have the questions if anybody wants them. I have my phone. You can reach out to me, or you can just, if you stop the recording, I'll give my phone number.
Okay, I didn't stop that.
When
It's
you,
on
my contact information is my volunteer list. Go to the volunteer list. And it's GILCHRIEST. I'm also on LinkedIn. The name of my company is the Gilchriest Consulting Group. My website is gilchriestsolutions.com.
And we will be here next week, but not in 2 weeks. Thanks again.
Happy New Year to you guys. And good luck. Good luck in your job search, or good luck in your career transition.
Bye now.